very, very careful with A.J. Green. They want to make sure that he's there week one against the L.A. Chargers. They don't really care about training camp practices or scrimmages or anything else. They want A.J. Green on the field against the L.A. Chargers. And they've been really good about load management, even the early stages of camp, Dan, with defensive linemen like Geno Atkins, had the day after the scrimmage, their first scrimmage off. So it was consecutive days off because they had a day off after the scrimmage anyway. And the first practice after that, he was off. Carlos Dunlap, they've done the same thing with Carl Lawson, has had his share of downtime. A.J. Green, Joe Mixon, with the offense. So right now, Zach Taylor, big lesson learned, and you can't control it. Big lesson learned. Last year up in Dayton, the first hour of practice, 45 minutes, A.J. goes down. He doesn't want to lose anybody key. There's a key component to the opener against the L.A. Chargers. He wants to be ready on September 13th, all hands on deck.
And we should clarify that the footage is from Wednesday afternoon's practice. The Bengals will be practicing again today, Thursday. They're scheduled to go at 2:50. We're seeing Drew Sample, number 89, in the middle of the screen. A high draft pick last year who had an injury-plagued rookie season, but he's having an excellent camp thus far.
And they're doing a drill, the strip drill, ball security. This is where a receiver catches the ball. He's trying to keep his balance, and in so doing, he's got to make sure that he still focuses on ball possession. A lot of times that's when a ball gets knocked out of there. So they're all about ball possession. And it's very interesting, Dan. Joe Mixon and Giovanni Bernard, they're number 1 and number 2 in total carries. It's over 1,200 carries between them where they have not lost a fumble. Now, I'm not talking about kick returns, any kickoff returns, punt returns, and I'm talking about, carrying the football with running the ball and pass receptions. They're number 1 and number 2 in the National Football League. So they take great pride in ball security, and this is one of the drills that they work on.
Let's talk about Joe Burrow's day. He's had an excellent camp, but he doesn't dominate every day. And on Wednesday, it was kind of a so-so day for the Bengals rookie quarterback. In my mind, Lap, there have been 3 practices, and this was the third, where I didn't think he was great. The previous 2, he came back the next practice and was spectacular. So I anticipate him having a great day on Thursday.
He has bounced back. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he's determined to not stack 2 in a row negatively. What you want to do is you want to stack good practices back to back to back to back. You want to start building a foundation. You don't want the graph to be up and down, up and down. But even when he's not quite as scintillating, he's still pretty good. I mean, he's still efficient, but boy, there's been some days, Dan, where we've seen him light it up, and you've talked about it a lot, and it's very, very noticeable. The thing that he does not make his receivers work to catch the football. By that I mean he throws a very catchable pass first and foremost, and then even more importantly, he puts it right there on the numbers or in front of him. Doesn't make him turn. The ball's never behind him. Not overextending so they're exposed and getting lit up by linebackers or safeties. I'll tell you, boy, it's easy to build trust between a quarterback and a receiver when he throws the ball to his receivers the way Joe Burrow is.
We are seeing linebackers in the front of the screen right now. 51, Marcus Bailey, the Bengals' 7th-round draft pick this year. 55 is Logan Wilson, the first of the 3 linebackers they selected in this year's draft. And this drill is going to show their ability to cover people coming out of the backfield, not necessarily covering them to try to deflect the pass or intercept the pass, but reacting quickly and getting up to the player right after making the catch.
Exactly. Taking proper angles, Dan. It's part of the process of the tackling. They don't go live, every day live tackling, but they basically go through the process of here's the angle that you have to take, and here's the speed of what you might be facing. And so they go through all the mechanics of it other than just hitting, wrapping, and taking them to the ground. So that's something that these linebackers have shown very well. They can run. I mean, they take good angles, and they can run to the football. And when you run to the football, good things happen. If you have a bunch of guys running to the ball and nobody's on the ground, nobody's been cut in half, laying on the ground somewhere, good things are going to happen. So, it's good to have those young legs running to the ball like this linebacker core that they just brought in as.
That last play was one that I'm sure a lot of Bengals fans read about last night or this morning. A deep ball intended for John Ross, broken up by Will Jackson. John came down kind of awkwardly on his left arm. He kind of held it to his side as he went back to the sideline, had it looked at by the medical staff, later put a sleeve on his left arm, and then came back and caught more passes at practice. So it was great to see him bounce back from what at least briefly looked like it might be a scary moment.
Yeah, I mean, when he went down and took a while to get back up, your first thought is, oh, no. And I'm sure that John Ross's first thought is, oh, no. So the fact that he was able to handle his business and come back and still participate and perform, it's going to be a dynamic vision to watch Joe Burrow throw into, John Ross, A.J. Green, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. I mean, the tight ends. It's going to be, they're going to be able to attack every quadrant of the football field. And that's when, we had the best offenses in Cincinnati and in the National Football League in the 80s. I mean, we attacked every square inch of turf on the football field. And with this group of skilled players, that's going to be a big factor. And then it's up to the guys up front. And Dan, I'll tell you what, yesterday, like we said, we're looking at Wednesday footage. It was one of those dog days of camp. I broke a serious lather just watching. So I know the big boys were definitely perspiring. And they don't have big numbers. There's not a whole lot of guys. And Michael Jordan missed Wednesday's workout. He had birth of a child, so he was with his young infant. And then during practice, about halfway through, Bobby Hart kind of tweaked his calf a little bit. So now you're down 2 players. And all kinds of guys are taking snaps everywhere. Fred Johnson's taking snaps at both guards and tackle. Billy Price is taking snaps at center and both guards. Adeniji is taking snaps at tackle and both guards and showing that he can handle that. So, man, that was a long day with not a whole lot of guys up front. And that's one where you really have to punch your card. And I remember one training camp, Dan, we went to camp with just the number of offensive linemen that are going to make the team. And Mike McCormick was our line coach. He got up in front of us. He said, "Congratulations, men. You all made it." That's the good news. The bad news, you're going to be going through hell because we're down numbers. And we have 2 practices a day in pads every single day, 2-a-days for 7 or 8 weeks. You guys are going to earn your money. And that was a tough training camp, Dan. That was brutal.
Well, you mentioned Hakeem Adeniji, the rookie offensive lineman out of Kansas. There he is, number 77. He had some great reps against Bryce Stirk, another youngster, number 71.
And this is a good look at it. He keeps him wide, keeps the pocket wide, and the last jam took Stirk to the turf. He's got really good feet. And again, don't lean forward. Don't lean. Don't come forward with your shoulders. You see the good protectors have that straight back, hands are out, and they're punching. And they're keeping the defensive players away from their shoulder pads. So it's footwork, and then with the upper body, try to stay away from allowing them to grab shoulder pads, and then jam them. Get your hands inside. I used to interlock my thumbs to make sure that when I jammed people inside and didn't get my hands outside the framework of the body where you can get caught for holding. So keep your hands inside and boom, just jam them, punch them, try to bench press them back. And all it takes is one good jam, Dan, and make them restart, ball's out in the National Football League. You don't have to block a guy for 7 seconds in the NFL.
Did you used to use that same motion to make shadows of a bird on the ceiling for your kids when they were young? It looked like you were doing.
Yeah, the butterfly.
Well, there's Sam Hubbard on the screen, number 94, along with Bobby Hart. If you are going to block Sam Hubbard at practice, you're going to get a good workout.
Bring your lunch pail because you're going to be moving because Sam Hubbard is all motion. I mean, he never quits on a play. He pursues every single play and takes the proper angle of pursuit and just gives full effort, busted. I'm not talking about jogging. I'm talking about sprinting after every single play, retracing his steps, in a pass rush if they run a draw, whatever. I mean, he is a guy that has impeccable work ethic, and it just it inspires teammates and it carries over into games for sure.
Describe what the offensive linemen are working on here.
What they're working on is combination blocks, Dan. The inside-outside zone type stuff, where they're going to double the down lineman, and one lineman's going to hand him off to the other lineman, depending on if he slants one way or the other, or if he just charges straight into one lineman. That lineman consumes him, then the other one comes off for the linebacker level. So, and then this one, that was pin and pull. One blocks down to pin, and big. Look at the size of Fred. That's big Fred right there. He's got strength, length, and he had the trap block. He kicked out. So that pin and pull stuff really worked well in the second half of the season when Joe Mixon rushed for over 800 yards.
Fred Johnson, a very busy man at practice, going from tackle to guard, back and forth, as you mentioned, with the limited number of bodies. He got 2 days in one yesterday, basically.
He did. He earned his union card in one day. I mean, he put in a full day's work. I can remember up at training camp, the one training camp where I'm talking about, where we basically were real low numbers. Everybody had the team made. I can remember losing 16 pounds of water weight, beginning of morning, weigh in the morning, and then full practice, go to lunch, try to have a lot of fluids, try to get back as much as possible, practice again. From the morning weigh in to the second practice weigh out, 16 pounds of water weight. And I had to try to put as much of that back on as I could, reasonably that night, because, man, if you don't, you cramp. And I remember laying in bed some of those nights of that training camp, just like knotting up, balling up in a big cramp. Here's another deal: angle block down, pin, and lineman pulls around. That's very effective the last 8 games for the Bengals. And these guys are big, but then they have some mobility too. It's not like they're stiffs. So you don't have to worry about getting them out in space and then redirecting and rerouting their bodies in space. So this is pretty physical. They're doing some interior run drills as well as one-on-one pass rush, and they've been doing that pretty much quite a few of the high percentage of the practices to get those pads anchored. Like we talked about before, Dan, lower the pads. The only way that you're going to be able to get your pads anchored properly and lower your pads is to do this kind of contact work where, you're going to find out that if your pads aren't low, you're in trouble. You're not moving anybody a quarter of an inch.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for our training camp report today. We'll have another one at 11 a.m. on Friday, and the Bengals scrimmage is coming up on Sunday. Unfortunately, fans cannot come into Paul Brown Stadium and watch that scrimmage, as would have been the case in years past, but we will have live radio coverage of that scrimmage on Sunday, and again, another live training camp report tomorrow at 11 a.m. For Dave Lapham, I'm Dan Hoard. Thanks for checking out our training camp report on Bengals.com and the Bengals social media platforms.